it's a very interesting discussion, and I'm
I
sure.
mean, I just want to add one more thing.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Like I saw PH made a Twitter post
Peter Heine,
about
yes.
how, yeah, Peter Hein Nielsen, about how like Ding's private room, footage was shown online and people were commenting, and he thought that it was, either a bit exploitative. I
Intrusive,
don't
yes.
intrusive, yeah, whatever. I don't remember the exact words he used, but it wasn't. He didn't think it was a positive thing, which I agree with. I mean, like mostly this is kind of tying back to this thing. I feel like most people who watch chess, they don't know what they're watching. And to keep them entertained, we have to resort to, some kind of circus antics. Like we show the players in their cage now, they're having their nuts. No, I mean like
That's actually
literally, this is
kind of
what.
funny, yes.
No, but because
Yes,
I've
yes.
played
He
I've
was
played in
having
those
his
conditions. Like
nuts, yes.
I know what they're playing in, like the glass cage,
Yes.
and they have their little private room. That's exactly what I played with Magnus. It's like a cage. You play in your little cage and you have your nuts, and then we all watch.
that's that's a
And
funny
it's like
comment.
that's how, and then people, they make their posts and they comment and they're like, oh, how cute. Which again really feels like we're just kind of, performing circus animals. Um, we don't know what you're doing on the chessboard, but just, have your snacks and then we'll make up some cute stories about you and your seconds. Um, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't, it's not like there's anything wrong with it per se. I can't really pinpoint what's wrong with it, but it doesn't feel like, it's when I see it, I'm like either disinterested or I feel just kind of vaguely like a whatever. And I really don't want to hear about it.
I feel you. No, completely understand. Completely understand. Um,
Sorry, I'm kind of dying. Like I was like really sick the last few days of the tournament and
I think to your
still
point,
feeling it.
if I remember in 2018, there were no nuts, right? And there was no camera in your private room. So
Yeah, I think the private room was private, which makes sense.
I think
Um,
this is a new development.
there was definitely food inside the private room.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also most of the stuff I see about the tournament, it has nothing to do with the games. It's like what I'm reading is always some like personal interest stuff with zero to do with the games, how is Ding feeling? How's his personal life? The Gukesh. I mean, okay, these sort of these sort of like personal interest stories. And I know that that's how you're going to capture the attention of the wider audience. But if it completely detracts from the chess,
Right. Right. The technical
which
aspect of it.
also I understand it's one game a day, with rest days, it's not the most exciting chess event ever, right? It's not like an open tournament where you can concentrate on 50 million games or a blitz tournament where everything's happening all at once. Um, but yeah, it's like we've completely sacrificed the chess for this, right? There's just like nobody really talks about the chess, or if they do, they have no idea what they're saying.
Right. Somewhat it has been diluted. Yes, the technical aspect has definitely been diluted, replaced with the feeling aspect of it, the feeling of the players, the feeling of the coaches, the friendships, the stories behind them, which is again, it's just a trade-off. If you want to look at it that way, I think it's just a trade-off. Now, obviously, there's going to be um, people that are going to be on one side and people that are going to be on the other. I don't think there's a correct way, let's say, that should
No,
top
it's
everything
yeah. I mean, when
else.
I think about it, okay, there's something like really wrong with it. I mean, yeah, this
Your
this is also how
perspective is
it is.
very interesting because you're kind of in the middle of everything. Like you're under the magnifying glass at all times as a player, mostly as a player.
Yeah, well, I know exactly how I mean how it is, right? For the players who are playing the match or the tournament, and not exactly how it is, but I can have an idea. And also because you know, I've also spoken to people who are in these situations as well. Not only like I've been in this situations, but I've also spoken to people who are in similar situations. There have been like interesting new developments, right? I mean, Magnus and Hikaru are giving commentary on the games. That's interesting. You rarely see, you know, um, like the very best players
I
who are
mean,
also
you're giving
commentating on.
commentary on the games. I think this is just we're living in an age of information, and the information is moving extremely fast. Extremely fast. It doesn't have a lasting impact. That's pretty obvious. We don't, as humans, I don't think we have the same attention span that we used to have years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it keeps diminishing. So I think it's just the way the flow of the world is going right now.
Sure, yeah, it could be like I'm thinking too traditionally. But yeah, we've had this trend for a long time. Like back in the day, you know, people who watched chess and they thought about chess and they wrote about chess, it would all be very slow and deliberate, and people would really try to understand exactly what's going on. And then, and I don't remember those times because I wasn't around. And then when I was a kid, people would now be talking online, let's say on ICC, and they would be discussing the moves and going back and forth and still trying to get to the truth of it. And it would still be like 95% about the chess. And there would occasionally be some very dramatic story like, Topalov, uh, Kramnik, right? Um, and now it really does feel like the chess takes a complete backseat. Most of the discussion is noise around other things. Still, there is chess discussion, but but it does seem to take like a real backseat to the other stuff. But
Last
maybe that's just how it is. I mean,
last
what can you say?
question because I do need to wrap it up. Um, Obviously, we haven't given our input on the World Championship match for the last week and a half or so because you were playing tournaments and I was playing as well. We're probably going to do that for the last couple of games. At least that's perhaps something that we can do.